Hey, thanks for joining us on Construction Tech Talk for another of our We Talk to Smart People episodes. This is technology editor Charles Rathman, and we call them We Talk to Smart People episodes because we talk to smart people. And one way that people get smart is to conduct primary research. And I love it when people do this in the construction space because it gives us a pretty good indication of what's going on so we can make better decisions about construction technology purchasing. Today, we're going to be talking about Hexagon's recent effort like this, and they're calling this their Autonomous Construction Tech Outlook Study. I'm going to put a link to that down here in the footer. Hexagon, of course, is the global leader in digital reality capture, and we're joined today by Thomas Harring, president of Geosystems at Hexagon. So, how's your day going, sir?
Perfect. Thanks, Charles. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So, Thomas, before we kick off, tell me a little bit about how you came to your role at Hexagon and what you're seeing right now with Hexagon's approach to the construction space.
Yes. Yeah, very briefly, my background, I started with Hexagon 20 years ago. Before that, I spent some time as a management consultant, focusing on IT projects and many other things on different industries. And in Hexagon and like at Geosystems, I had different management positions. And since 3 years, I'm now president of Geosystems, where we approach many different industries, including building and infrastructure. So basically covering the whole process from pre-construction, construction to operations.
So tell me a little bit about the study that you conducted. What, how did you go about this, and what kind of things really struck you when you looked at it?
Yeah, so we in Hexagon have done that in a lot of industries already, being on that journey towards autonomous and sustainable solutions. And you could always argue, where are we on that journey? Clearly on construction, it's a long way to go. And we wanted to find out, how is the adoption taking place? Or how are contractors, owners are talking about these kind of things, and what they really have in their mind, especially after the pandemic, where a lot of things may have changed. And that's why we did that study. We asked over 1,000 executive decision makers, because we are talking many times, of course, to all the experts, all the operators, all the people using our technology. We're talking to decision makers was key to us to really find out what is on their agenda, what is their priority moving forward.
I read this study with interest because I love this stuff, and this is a pretty good effort you have here. And there's some things that jumped out at me.
Yes.
One of them was procurement. Procurement was identified as the most pressing business need across the board, across regions. What do you see going on with it? What's going on there, and how is technology kind of coming to market to help contractors with this function?
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. That surprised me as well. But then I thought a little bit about that when reading that. I think supply chain topics have been always a mid and long-term trend for construction, become much more important. But then there's a short-term dimension, of course, because of availability issues, broken supply chains, material price increases, and all this kind of stuff, which of course increase the urgency of focusing on that. I think it's these kind of two things: the short-term challenges and the long-term need of investing into that area. And what we are seeing is technologies come out which help tracking material or assets, from the production side, so to say, to the construction side. And that's where we have certain technologies which help really to trace whether things come on time or whether things are getting delayed. Yeah? Fortunately, the situation is getting better now on the supply chain. So we believe that topic will be still important for prefabrication and other topics, but maybe the short-term urgency, short-term challenge will be a little bit reduced moving forward.
One other thing that really impressed me, and this is, it's something that for me and probably a lot of other people is a constant source of embarrassment. In North America, we like to think we're pretty advanced as an economy and as a culture, but when you look at patterns of adoption of construction technology, we are really kind of bringing up the rear. You see this in this study, and even now, as I look at it, I think we're still lagging in terms of what we're investing in new construction technologies. You're judging from where your desk is located and your charming accent, I figure that you're not a native American citizen, and you've got some perspective on this that you can maybe share.
Yes, sure, I will do. I'm working right now out of Switzerland and Central Europe. I'm not so sure whether I 100% agree with your comment because I've been in the US over the last year quite often. And I would agree on average, maybe we are lagging, but there are so many highly innovative companies in the US, contractors or owners, which really adopt new technologies. And the trend which we have seen over the last years is the establishment of these virtual design construction groups within contractors, which really have the mandate to look into new technologies. And they really are trying to make pilot projects, trying to get these new technologies into the operations. And that's something where we have quite interesting discussions. And many contractors right now in the US are well advanced compared to the ones in Europe or in Asia, I would say. But yeah, it's always a question mark about the average sometimes. Yeah? But there's so much construction infrastructure work getting done right now in the US. Maybe people are a little bit too busy to adapt to new things as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old cartoon about the sales guy's got a,
Right.
like a machine gun for sale, and he's trying to sell it to like the general of an army, and they're all armed with spears and stuff. We're too busy fighting to look at your new technology. But a bright spot that I saw for North America in the data was the adoption of project management tools. And I'm not sure if you're thinking that maybe some of this is driven by particularly aggressive vendors, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a project management software vendor. The company name starts with P. Uh, and they might have just really pioneered this here. You know, do you see that some of this is maybe driven sometimes by the vendors in a given region as much as the purchasing or professional needs of the contractors?
I would say it's more the need because we see the development on our journey towards this autonomous and sustainable future. That first you try to connect the data, then you connect stakeholders, and their project management is key importance to connect them before then you move to assets in the workforce. And that's where we see a lot of adoption taking place. And hopefully, you did not mean project mates because that was a software which joined the Hexagon family beginning of this year, which is an owner-focused project management solution, which is fascinating how much transparency can be provided if these kind of software is really with discipline used. Yeah, and that's something which I think is a little bit a challenge in that fragmented industries with so many different stakeholders, trades, so many different people being involved from an architect, engineer, contractor, um, yeah, the funding and all these kind of different things, how to really apply a common source of truth, so to say, where the project status can be monitored. But that's something we are seeing a huge trend and a huge adoption with all over the world and especially in the US.
Yeah, well, one thing that in the US perhaps does not get as much respect as perhaps it could is sustainability. We're starting to see this become more of a priority in specifying materials, and project design is becoming more of a factor in requests for information for contractors. But in the study, this also came in as a common response, the most common response when asked, what the most common benefits are that respondents are realizing from technology. So, in construction, where do you see technology really increasing sustainability, and where can this ultimately go?
That's a very interesting topic, and I think it's so important that we remind all ourselves to focus on that and make it part of our decision making internally in all our companies, as well as, of course, with our customers. If we look at the construction process, it starts right in the beginning, in the design phase. That architects don't make only a nice facade, that they think about how that fits into maybe a green environment and all these green engineering kind of things we see in our CAD BIM software taking place and people being interested to find solutions for that. During construction, then of course, it's how to reduce waste, how to get efficiency, how to get on machine control fuel reduced, especially with the fuel pricing right now all over the world. So these kind of things. So certain things are helping to adoption, of course. At the same time, I think everywhere people get reminded, younger generations are pushing for that, older generations are open, want to have solutions. It's, I think, something we all want to do something more. Sometimes the challenge is just how to do it and how to change certain behaviors. Yeah, so that's we see a lot of things and we get a lot of requests how to really do the same, maybe slightly different, but more sustainable. And that's what we are for, to really think about how to achieve the same productivity goals in a more sustainable manner. And fortunately, productivity and safety are supporting sustainability. That's why our technologies and the things we are doing in our industry in construction is very supportive for sustainability goals and for achieving net zero.
This last question before I let you go and let you get back to doing real work or actually looking at the time here, it's probably time for you to like stop working. So I'm not going to detain you too much longer. But one thing that we're tracking here at Iron Pros is the convergence of different technologies that might have been siloed, either within the four walls of a company, and that might change as they're acquired by another company. We're seeing a lot of that. Or in some cases, this is being done with partnerships where you might have a software application that is designed for drone photogrammetry, but then owners and project management contractors really want to see that drone data update the same version of the truth as their terrestrial photogrammetry and their LiDAR data capture. So when it comes to taking all of these different sources of information about the real environment and making them into a single version of the truth. Yeah, how is Hexagon helping to do that? And how does that ultimately help contractors deal with some of the concerns that they're talking about in this study?
Oh, a very interesting question, because we focus on not, as you said in the beginning as well, on creating these digital realities, which simplified is a digital twin on dynamic digital twin, regularly updated, where all the different information come together and provide that transparency. With the challenge everybody has, that we have so many data, so many files, so many models, so many documents which need to be stored, which we have in a solution called HXDR, where things can be visualized and collaboration can take place. What is then, of course, important that we see progress, yeah, that we make the progress visible, see deviations which are critical, and of course compare maybe a BIM model or CAD model with the reality and see, where things have changed during construction, and provide that information early on in terms of progress tracking, that there's no debate or conflict later on, that we early on know what is critical on the construction site, what needs to be done, and how the different stakeholders, the different trades really contribute to that. That's something which we are doing. In the past, you talked about convergence technologies. In the past, these technologies have been only used by service providers, engineering companies, because the technology was a little bit heavy and sophisticated. But we made the technology easier, that it can be used during the construction progress and process, that everybody can use it, including me, and that we really can, yeah, document things, can make it visible, share it then, and we really, as you said, have one source of truth and a discussion about concrete topics and not just imagination or perceived status. It's an interesting endeavor. There's a lot of progress being made, and that's something where we will show at Hexagon Live in June some new releases and new solutions as well, which help providing this kind of transparency. And that's something we, for the overall industry, are keen to really help the overall industry to develop on that in construction, as well as in other industries. And last comment on that, we have seen other industry solutions in manufacturing or maybe on the industrial construction being applied to more building infrastructure construction as well, where maybe certain technologies can be applied because some industries have learned certain things before in terms of prefabrication or these kind of things. Yeah, but always taking it into the context of construction, because construction is, as we all know, different. Yeah, it has, special dynamics, which makes it so fascinating. And that's why we are so keen to further develop our AEC solutions in construction together with our customers and together with others. You mentioned ecosystem. So we are really keen on working in an ecosystem, because alone we are too small to make a big difference. So we work with a lot of partners in the different areas to make an impact and create an impact.
So we could probably spend, days and days talking because, I mean, heck, just the footprint that you have in different product categories that we cover in Iron Pros. I
Hmm?
mean, I could just get lost in that with you. So we should probably spend some time talking on camera and off camera later so that we can help folks put on that secret decoder ring and understand what you folks are offering to the market, how it fits into their businesses, and who they should talk to get help making it work. But I really appreciate you taking some time to join us here today, sir.
Thanks a lot. And it's not so much about talking. We can talk a lot, as you said. It's much more that we can show what we are really actually doing together with our customers and make it happen. Yeah. And I'm really thanks a lot for inviting me, and talk to you soon, Charles. All the best.
And if you like talks like this, if you want to learn more about construction technology, keep on coming back here to Iron Pros, and we'll see you very soon.